Standing up in McKinney. This is, according to Callis, episode 647. Coming to you on the 3rd of June, the year of our Lord 2024. And we're back, right? Another week. Holiday's over. Time for break is over. Back in the saddle, moving on, carry on. So, carry on. All right. So, one of the things that I remember almost fondly is when you learned in boot camp, carry on meant just that. Keep doing what you were doing. So when I say that, in today's day and age, I mean that, you know what? Not quitting, not hanging it up, not backing down. We're just going to keep on going, right? So, we got a few things we're going to talk about. Little news update. We're going to keep it short today. We've got a busy evening schedule. As they say, the fight is never over. The battle never ends. While you're protecting liberty, while you're defending the republic, your enemies never sleep. Some people that you didn't even necessarily think were enemies out themselves, and they certainly don't sleep. Before we get into that, before we spend any more time talking about this, let me remind you the best way that you can make the difference, that you can help me, that you can continue to build this and get people to listen and get people involved is to like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on your podcatcher of choice, currently hosted with Podbean. And yes, once again, Podbean has found a way to cause me problems, but that's okay. There are other choices, and we're going to be redoubling our efforts to make that decision. The weather is coming in, so if I should die out on this podcast, it will be weather-related. I'm not going anywhere. And your social media, that's right, I'm on Facebook. I got a page and a group. I'm a pro over at Gab, and I still drop in at MeWe, as they say. And, yep, for now, you can still find my program over at YouTube. Sooner or later, I'll figure out Brighteon and various other options. But right now, I just can't find the time for Rumble. Just can't. So, we got to continue to keep working and moving the agenda forward. You can't win if you're not working together. And I really fear that's our biggest problem. So as I say, carry on. All right. Item number 1. Down but not out. And I'd be lying to you if I didn't tell you I didn't feel a little down. I mean, there were some significant wins over the last 2 weeks. Big wins, by the way. But I'm worn down. I'm tired. I mean, I'm not going to lie. It's been taxing. And, I mean, I'm not even fully in on all these different campaigns and stuff going on, but I was in the thick of a couple of them, and I'm very happy that I made the endorsements and supported the people that I did. I feel no pain for that, but it catches up to you. The break that I had hoped to get did not ever come, and with the storytelling going on, I'm not sure when I'm going to get a break, but I can be down, but I'm not out, and I'm not quitting. I'm not going anywhere. And the issue is, and I titled the point number 2 here is liars never quit. And I really hesitate to use that word, but I don't know how else to phrase it. I mean, when you're literally making stuff up, when you're literally stretching the truth so far as that it's incomprehensible, when you make up one thing and then 3 days later it's another thing altogether, I don't know what else to call that other than lying. So I had a conversation with somebody who has been doing this a little bit longer than I have, and he imparted some great wisdom to me. He said, Stephen, your problem is you still have honor, and you expect the people you deal with to have honor. And that expectation of honor is creating havoc for you, because you think that when you deal with somebody in an honorable way, they'll reciprocate, and they're not going to do that. And I got to say, as much as I already knew that, I just didn't want to accept it. As much as I had seen that evidence multiple times where you make a deal or you think that everybody's at least on the same book, and I just get let down, or worse off, stabbed in the back. So for that, that comeuppance, I guess I needed to hear it. I did. I've always tried to be honorable, and I value honesty, and I want people to be straight with me all the time, even when it stinks, even when it's hard truth, even when they disagree or they think you're wrong. All that's fine and dandy as long as we're being straight with each other. I don't have a lot of tolerance for people that'll say one thing and do another, or tell one group of people something and then do another. I understand you have to cover for people from time to time, and I understand you've got to deflect things from time to time. I get it. Been there, done that. And that's different than blatantly saying to one group of people, I'm going to do this, and then going in front of another group of people and saying, well, actually, I'm going to do this, and this is why. And then when you get caught on it, you get upset at the person that caught you on it, not the fact that you changed your story. And then little nefarious things going on in the background. And then when you call them on it, they pitch a fit and point their fingers because you called them on it. And it's disappointing. It's just sad that this is where we're at. And, I used to only think that the leftist progressives, the socialists, were real big on this. But when I think about it, the very same elements, the very same actions are found with our own people. They're supposedly on our team. They're supposedly, wanting the same things, but they behave and act just like progressives. It's if they took the rules for radicals and decided to use it against their own team as opposed to the radicals themselves. It's disappointing. It's sad. And then when you call them on it, they get mad and they point fingers at you. Again, right out of the book. And what's disappointing to me is, having read the book at least twice now, I think, I should have caught this stuff sooner. I really should have, but I kept giving the benefit of the doubt. I kept wanting to work with these people. I kept wanting to see no enemies, not wanting to punch right. But here I am. I'm pushed into a situation where now I'm called the establishment by some people, and now I'm called the sellout. Well, I don't think I've actually heard anybody call that to my face, but I've heard it in the background, right? And I really like to know, what is it you think I sold out on? A lot of us that came up from the Tea Party, or even further back, the Ron Paul campaigns, we came up and we've worked and we've been involved and we've been pushing and, working towards getting our end goals, which is more liberty, right? Protecting individual liberty, restoring the republic, or protecting the republic. We have similar goals, yet for whatever reason, it's a zero-sum game with some of these folks. It's really disappointing, and they just don't quit. I've heard somebody refer to them as ankle biters. I don't know if that's appropriate or not. I don't really think that I agree with it, because if it was only biting the ankle, that would be one thing. But when they're stabbing you in the back, when they're letting you down, it's so much worse than that. But there's good news. Because while I might be stood up at the gates of hell, I won't back down, right? Paraphrasing none other than Tom Petty. I don't claim to have one iota of what it must be like to be Donald Trump right now. I don't claim to have 1% understanding of what the AG has gone through. I won't claim to understand but maybe 10% of what Abraham George, as our new Texas state chair, has gone through. I won't say that I understand, but maybe 15% of what Shelby Williams, our new county chair, has been going through. But I will tell you, this nonsense, this abuse of Robert's rules, this abuse of, decorum, it had to be stood up to. And here we are. Now, I'm not the victim. No, I believe I acted in a proper manner. I believe that when I take action or when I make a stand, that I'm 100% sold on that. And I won't be moved. And I won't back down. So, I've yet to hear where I've been wrong or how I did something that was out of place. And the liars that perpetrate lies, don't have any traction any longer. They're not given any thought any further in my mind. If somebody I knew that, was legitimately on the side where, hey, Callis, man, you missed this or you did this, I'd listen, I'd hear them out. But at this point, there can't be any quarter. There's no time for this going forward. We have an extremely consequential race laid out in front of us. We won the couple of big races that mattered. We got an excellent state chair. We've got a good county chair, soon to be proven out to be excellent. He's going to have help. He's going to have a solid team, just like Abraham will at the state level. And we got to work together. We got to put aside these minor, petty differences and remember that we have the same goals. And those that cannot do it, those that are hung up on their own little peccadillos, they need to be iced out. There's just no other way around it. They are our own worst enemy, ourselves. I always used to have a ton of grace, and I still have probably more grace than I ought to. Want to work with everybody. I want to be everybody's friend. I want everybody on the same team and everybody on the same page, and I want to get the best possible outcome. But sometimes you just can't work with people. Sometimes they've told enough lies, manipulated things enough that they just should have no respect. They can't. There's no coming back from that. And while I'm temporarily down and I'm not out, I'm equally not going to back down. I'm not going to just slough it off and pretend there's nothing there anymore. That was a mistake. I gave them the proverbial inch and they've tried to take 10 miles. I'm not going to allow it. I'm not going to do it. And I encourage you, don't let them do it. Don't make the same mistake I've made. Grace is useful when somebody is recalcitrant, right? Somebody is actually seeking forgiveness. But if they don't, there's no reason to extend grace. You can't forgive somebody for something they refuse to acknowledge was wrong. This is interesting, and it's both tough because there have been plenty of times that I've been involved with things, and I'm like, well, am I wrong? Did I overstep? Did I make a mistake? I'll second guess myself. But if nobody can make a clear argument what I did wrong, okay, then I guess I did all right. I'm not the bad guy here. But nobody should be 100% pure in their own minds. Nobody should be 100% above reflection. I'm certainly not. All we are left with at that point is to carry on, right? Unless otherwise directed, we're going to carry on. Unless there's something more important in the, immediate future, we carry on. Unless there's something that deviates us from our path, we carry on. We must remember we cannot win in November if we're not moving forward. While we're talking about November, there is yet another runoff here, right down the street from me in Allen, Texas. We got two Daves that are in the runoff. And, I know both Daves. I like both Daves. I've endorsed both Daves. I think they did a very solid job. I mean, even Trey Pack's on board with these guys. So they're not any hardcore righties that some have painted them as. They're just good, legitimate, solid, conservative guys that want to do the right thing for their city that they love. And they're being challenged by the Allen establishment, which they have every right to do. But in their challenging them, they really don't have a good argument. They don't have anything substantial that they're offering or bringing to the plate that these guys haven't already been doing. They seem to lack the character to say, you know what, they're actually doing a pretty good job. We could wait until they term out, or we could wait our turn. No. We can't allow any dissident voices on the city council. Now, tap me if you think this sounds familiar. And to get even more interesting, technically it should be a McKinney Monday, right? But we're going to just call it carry on because that's all we can do. It seems there's going to be a shakeup in the city of McKinney. Now, I wonder what that's going to be like. I wonder what's at play there. Don't know. I've really tried to stay out of the machinations of the outgoing mayor, right? He's by all rights termed out, but, well, we're just going to change the terms of my agreement. Look, we've got enough issues with those to our left that I shouldn't have to be playing battle royale with those to my right. And when I say to my right, I just mean on the right side with me. And honestly, I believe a lot of these elected officials in the city are probably just straight up moderates. They don't have any crazy leftist motives. Some of them do. But for whatever reason, we've made it a standing order that we must make enemies with those elected officials in the city council and the school boards. And I don't see why there's benefit there. We should be working with them where we can, opposing them where we can't work with them, and finding and raising up good, solid people to run to replace them when their time is up. Now, I don't know why we've got somebody in the McKinney School Board that's been there for 30 plus years. Some would say it's because nobody found anybody else better. I would say it's just inertia. But again, if we can't get our act together on the right, if we can't get people to just understand it's time to carry on, we're not going to get anywhere. We need to pick our battles. We need to be strategic. We need to keep always looking forward. And it just seems to me that there's a large quantity of the very people that we depend on to win races and we depend on to get our message out that are just so bent on getting their own way, so bent on that they must be right at all costs, that they cannot and will not agree to disagree and get things done. Yes, okay, well, we would all love to have, I don't know, let's just say Rand Paul elected to every position of government at the municipal and city or the municipal city and school board level. We'd love nothing more than that. But that's not practical. It's not going to happen. And quite frankly, it's an unreasonable demand. With today's day and age, not going to happen. And that's a compromise candidate because, if you would have asked me, I would have said, well, Dr. Ron Paul is even better. But again, you have to understand what you're dealing with. And you cannot get something like that in today's day and age. We have to move the window slowly. We have to make the adjustments in steps. We didn't get here overnight. We're not going to fix it overnight. Everybody seems to think we could just get a kill shot if we can just flip a board, if we can just do this or we can just do that. And I'm here to tell you, that's not going to work long term. You need a plan, and you need to work the plan. You need to make sure that when you have your team, you know who's who and what's what, and you go forward and you conquer. Because that is the only way to be, is carry on. And with that, this has been According to Callus, and I will see you on the other side.